recap where we are tonight. 4 shifts in our latest scorecard, and they all fell in favor of Donald Trump. New Hampshire moved from leaning Democrat to toss-up, Ohio from toss-up to leaning GOP, and both Indiana and Missouri from leaning GOP to solidly GOP. With those in mind today, if the vote was today, Clinton would get 283 votes, Trump 192. The toss-ups, the yellows, they account for 63 votes. But not so fast in Michigan. Check it out. It is worth 16. We've got it as light blue, meaning it's leaning Democrat. But Trump is now fighting to be the very first Republican to carry that state in 28 years. He's holding a rally there tonight. Governor Mike Pence will be there Monday. Trump himself will reportedly return for yet another late-night rally Monday as well. Clinton will be there Monday, as well as President Obama. So why all the last-minute A-list attention? Well, the Clinton team says it's always been part of the plan to flood that state leading up to the election because there's no early voting. So both sides have to light a fire under their supporters, make sure they actually turn out on Election Day. And the Trump team says now it is seeing an opportunity there. All right, here's another interesting wrinkle in this Electoral College vote. At least one elector in Washington state says he will refuse to vote for Clinton even if she wins the state's popular vote. She's expected to. A second elector there in that same state also hinting he may do the same thing. Both have been Sanders supporters. They are not saying who they'd vote for or if they'll vote at all. Britt?
Shannon, thank you. As we've noted, the Real Clear Politics average of national polls shows the race a virtual toss-up. But most seasoned analysts still see Hillary Clinton as a clear favorite. Partly it's the electoral map that Shannon just outlined, but partly it's the polls within the Real Clear Politics average. Let's talk about them with Larry Sabato, head of the University of Virginia's esteemed Center for Politics. Hi, Larry. I think you'll agree that the electoral map seems to favor Secretary Clinton, but it's still close enough that Trump could pull it out with a big day on Tuesday. But let's talk a little bit about this average of polls, because you know, they show the race tighter than most analysts seem to think. And, you know, let's just take a look if we can. I think we may be able to look on the screen at those polls and give a sense of the margins that the polls within it provide. Do we have that electoral map? It seems not to be coming up. Well, Larry, you're familiar with there's one poll in the Real Clear Politics two-candidate average that has consistently favored Trump. That is the poll from the University of Southern California and the Los Angeles Times. It's not the same kind of poll that most other pollsters are doing. Could you explain the difference?
Sure. It's a very complicated poll methodologically, and if I go into detail, Brett, you're going to lose your millions of viewers. So I'm going to avoid doing that, but I am going to tell you this. The methodologists in polling regard that particular survey as being an outlier, and I agree with them. I do not think it's representative. I do not think it will be borne out on Tuesday night. Now, if you had been able to show that chart of polls, it would have confirmed what all of your viewers already believe, which is that polls are all over the lot. You have to know what you're looking for, and while I do support polling averages, what?
Hold on a second, Larry. Just let me just that graphic is finally, to our great relief, appeared.
Oh, there it is.
And as you can see by looking at it, yeah, there it goes. The polls generally, you can see that in only one poll in the 9 that are part of the Real Clear Politics average is Donald Trump ahead, and that is the one we've been talking about, the LA Times USC tracking poll, which has Trump up 5, which sets it well apart from the others. And as you point out, you don't trust the methodology, and I think part of the reason for that is that it is a very large sample, to be sure, which is usually a good thing in a poll. It's likely voters, which is also a good thing, as you can see there, LV. But it is the same group of people that they go back to time and again, and it is consistently throughout this entire cycle favored Donald Trump by several points. He's always farther ahead in this poll or less far behind than he is in any other. So that may, and of course, if that poll were not part of this, the average would be quite different. Go ahead, Larry. I'm sorry I interrupted you.
No, that's perfectly all right, because you've made a good point. Go back 4 years. What was the Real Clear Politics average showing 4 years ago? And I'm not criticizing them. I like them a great deal. But they're a week ahead of the election. They had Romney up nearly 1 percentage point over President Obama. President Obama won by 4 percentage points. So in essence, they were off by 5 percentage points, which was 6 to 7 million votes. That's a lot of votes. But they were closer than many of the individual surveys. So that's why I say polling averages are not perfect, but they're better than the alternative. But if you force me, as your producer did, to pick a couple of polls that are probably more representative, I would pick the NBC Wall Street Journal poll as one of them. Why? Because it's an old poll. They are used to doing these surveys under difficult circumstances, and it goes back a long way. They have a lot of history. The other poll I would recommend to people is the Economist YouGov poll, because they have shown remarkable stability in this race, and I've said time and time again that these surveys that hop from +13 for one candidate to +5 for the other candidate, this is ridiculous. The vast majority of people knew for whom they were going to vote at the beginning of the general election campaign. You couldn't have a more stark difference than Trump and Clinton. So the YouGov Economist poll has been very stable. They've been about +3 for Clinton for quite some time, and I think it has the stability that I look for in a good survey.
All right, Larry Sabato, very helpful. Thanks for coming on all this fall. I'll see you on down the road, buddy, and all the best.
I look forward to it. Look forward to it, Brett.
Thank you.